I think I decided to do the project after I visited the Australia Zoo Wildlife Hospital. We had a tour inside the hospital and just seeing all the sick and injured koalas that were around by being attacked by dogs or just falling sick to preventable illnesses which they could be vaccinated against. At the time I was working at Caloundra State School teaching a grade 7 class, so it was their last term of primary school. I remember I made this video specifically because I wanted to share with the kids in my class what I had done and to also inspire them to try and do something with their 2 hands.
Hi, my name is Katie Clewett and I'd like to share with you my 2 Hands 100 Trees project. Ever since I was little, I've loved koalas. One day when I was 7 years old, we found a koala with the tag number of 764 lazing around in the tree behind our house. Over the next 3 months, this beautiful creature, who we nicknamed 764, spent his days hanging out in our backyard. As you can imagine, for a 7-year-old koala lover, this was awesome. Unfortunately, one day, my dad found 764 dead on our lawn. He had died from a well-known koala disease called chlamydia. Chlamydia affects 1 out of every 2 koalas in southeast Queensland, and although it is treatable, it is difficult to prevent in wild populations. Even as I grew up and moved to the coast, my love for koalas did not change. This year, I was lucky enough to receive a tour of the Australia Zoo Wildlife Hospital. Even though the hospital treats Australian wildlife of every different shape and kind, it saddened me to find the place full of sick and injured koalas. In fact, this year alone, the Australia Zoo Wildlife Hospital has treated over 700 koalas. Most koalas are admitted to the Australia Zoo Wildlife Hospital after being hit by a car, attacked by a dog, or falling sick to diseases such as koala AIDS, pink eye, and chlamydia, the same disease that killed 764. All these problems are exacerbated by habitat destruction. Every day, humans are clearing koala habitat to build houses, roads, and shops. After leaving the hospital, I decided I wanted to do something to help, and this is how the 100 Trees project was born. For this project to be successful, I needed the help of my dad. After asking for his assistance, my 2 hands quickly became 4, and the 100 Trees project was underway. Before planting the trees, we had to research which native eucalypts were the koalas' favourites. After making a short list, we bought some very small trees and began with digging, planting, watering, mulching and fencing. 3 days later, we had planted 124 trees. Over the 3 days, I learnt that planting trees is very hard work. It's also kind of expensive, with each tiny plant costing about $4. Additionally, I discovered that it will take about 25 years for my tiny plants to grow up big and strong in order to be homes and food for hungry koalas. But imagine if we repeated this project over the next 8 years. We could plant over 1,000 trees. This is my 2 Hands 100 Trees project. I believe that with my dad's help and his 2 hands, our 4 hands have made a difference. But imagine if we had 6 hands, or 8, or 10, or even 100 hands. Maybe we could change the world. Have you thought about what you could do with your 2 hands to make a difference? Hi, my name is Katie Clewett and I'd like to share with you my 2 Hands 100 Trees project. Ever since I was
you look
little,
so cute.
I've loved koalas.
The kids in my class, they had to come up with a topic that they could do with their two hands to try and improve where they lived. And I know a lot of the kids, they like picked up rubbish, or some of them planted some trees. Other kids like helped out with their grandparents and tried to do some nice things that they could do with their two hands. And I think my project was the inspiration for the kids in the class. When I was researching for this project and researching the types of koala trees that koalas in this area would like, I discovered that it would take approximately 25 years for the small trees that we planted, and they were really small, to grow up and be homes and food for koalas in the area. And it's amazing that just after, is it 10 years or?
Yeah, 10 years.
About 10 years after we planted the little trees, just how big they had grown, and there was koalas living in the trees. So just after 10 years we had our first koala, and then there is three koalas that are living in the area.
That we know of.
I remember when I started this project, Dad said we might not be able to save the koalas, we might just be able to save some kookaburras from planting the trees. So I think he was trying to make sure that I wasn't let down in case the koala didn't eventually end up living in these trees. When I was studying in Hawaii, I was studying at university, and we had to do a year-long course in Hawaiian studies. And when I was doing that course, I remember that one of the main things that the Hawaiians, their life goals was to make the land in which they lived better than when they first came to the land. If you were a Hawaiian person, that was your life mission, to make the land and the animals and that lived in the land, you were meant to make them better. I do remember that really stuck with me. So I feel like in this project we started off with some little trees, and now 10 years later, and hopefully in another 10 years, there'll be quite big trees that have over time made this place a better place, and for the animals that live here. The message of this project is to think about 10 or 20 years into the future, and starting off with a little project that has grown and made a big difference.